The sun had not yet risen, but the ground was already warm beneath Daniel's boots. Dust clung to his clothes like a second skin, and the air smelled of iron, sweat, and unfinished dreams. Every morning, before the city woke up, Daniel stood at the edge of the construction site and looked at what did not yet exist. To others, it was just steel rods, broken stones, and half-poured concrete. To Daniel, it was tomorrow. He picked up his hammer, heavy and familiar, like an old friend who never lied to him. Life had lied many times. People had disappointed him. Promises had broken like weak bricks. But work, honest, painful, exhausting work, had always told the truth. Daniel was not always a construction worker. Once, long ago, he was a student with bright eyes and fast dreams. He believed success was quick and loud. He believed effort was temporary and rewards were permanent. Then life corrected him. His father died when Daniel was 20. No warning, no final advice, just silence and responsibility falling like a mountain on his shoulders. His mother became ill soon after. Medical bills arrived faster than hope. College dreams quietly packed their bags and left. Daniel took the first job he could find. Construction. The first day nearly broke him. His hands blistered. His back screamed. Sweat burned his eyes. He watched older men work without complaint, their faces carved by years of sun and struggle. He wanted to quit before lunch. But then something strange happened. During a break, an old worker named Samuel sat beside him. Samuel's hands were rough like tree bark, his movements slow but steady. "You think this work is only about strength," Samuel said, sipping water. "But strength is the smallest part." Daniel didn't answer. Samuel continued, "This work teaches patience, discipline, respect for time. Every brick placed correctly matters. One mistake, and the whole wall suffers." Daniel listened. That day, he didn't quit. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. His body adapted, his mind hardened. He learned to lift carefully, to strike accurately, to breathe through pain. He learned that progress was invisible until it was suddenly obvious. At night, Daniel returned home exhausted. He cooked for his mother, cleaned the small apartment, and studied books borrowed from the library. He didn't study for exams anymore. He studied for understanding. While others slept, Daniel learned how buildings stood tall. He learned about foundations, measurements, balance, and design. He began to see construction not as punishment, but as creation. Years passed. The city changed slowly, and Daniel changed with it. He was no longer the weakest man on the site. Younger workers watched him the way he once watched others. He corrected mistakes calmly. He taught without pride. One day, a project manager noticed him. "You think differently," the manager said. "You don't just work, you observe." Daniel was offered responsibility. Not a big salary, not an office, just trust. And Daniel respected trust more than money. He arrived earlier, stayed later, took notes, asked questions, failed quietly and learned loudly. When mistakes happened, he fixed them instead of blaming others. Then came the collapse. A poorly planned structure on a nearby site failed. No one died, but many were injured. The city panicked. Inspections increased. Projects stopped. Daniel's site was under review. Pressure crushed everyone. Deadlines screamed. Investors threatened. Workers feared losing jobs. During inspection, officials found a serious design flaw, one that could destroy everything if ignored. Fixing it would cost time and money. Most wanted to hide it. Daniel refused. If we build something unsafe, he said, we are not builders. We are destroyers. His words were simple but heavy. Management was angry. Some workers blamed him, but the flaw was fixed. Months later, another building nearby collapsed due to the same ignored issue. Daniel's sight stood strong. That day, Daniel learned something important. Integrity is silent, but its impact is loud. Years later, Daniel became a supervisor, then a planner, then a man people listened to. Not because he spoke loudly, but because he spoke honestly. His mother lived long enough to see him succeed. On her last day, she held his hand and said, "You built more than buildings. You built yourself." When Daniel stood alone after her funeral, he didn't cry loudly. He didn't break. He felt pain, but also peace. Because he knew something many never learn. Hard work is not about suffering. It is about meaning. One evening, as the sun set behind cranes and steel frames, a young worker approached him. "This job is killing me," the boy said. "I feel invisible." Daniel handed him a hammer. "Nothing that builds the future is invisible," Daniel said. "Even if no one thanks you today, tomorrow will stand on your effort." The boy nodded, unsure but listening. Daniel looked across the site, the noise, the dust, the unfinished structure reaching toward the sky. He smiled quietly, because he knew, the world is not built by those who talk about dreams. It is built by those who wake up early, stay honest, and refuse to quit. And somewhere, in every strong building, there is a story of someone who chose effort over excuses. Just like Daniel.